Come forward. Yeah, yeah. Go on, go on, go on, go on.
Shalom Israel, shalom, shalom. We out here again through the grace and will of the Most High Power to wake up the dead of our people and mostly the elect. Before we start, we're going to give all honor, all glory, and all praises to Yahweh. Double honors to the elders and apostles that rule and teach well. Peace and salutations to the brothers out there laboring on the highways and byways, and also those putting out videos online, social media. Shalom to all the brothers and sisters of the truth, trying to the best of their ability to keep the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right. Shalom Israel. So my lesson today is going to be a short one because it's based on Black History Month, which is held in America on the shortest month of the year, which is February. So we're in February, so through the Spirit I decided, or Yahweh decided for me, that I'm going to give that lesson. So what I usually like to do is open out with a little bit of paleo, so I'm going to do the same thing today. So here we go. Aknawa, Nathan, Mashana, Kabadiam, Laha, Zakwaniam, Laha, Bakaya, Laha, Akyam, Wa Akwa, Baha, Amath, Baha, Bani, Shal Yashala, Shalawam, Wa Ahab, Barakatham. So in English, what that would say is, we give double honors to the elders, to the hopeful elect, to the brothers and to the sisters in the truth, and the children of Israel. Peace and love bless you all. So that's how we usually open out. So I just decided to open out in paleo as well. Right, so now we're going to get to the heart of the lesson, which is Black History Month. So straight away, I have to clarify that term because black, can you get the meaning of black? I know the human dictionary is not here today.
Should I get that?
Yes.
Yeah, just get it. If not, I can get it from the
I've got it.
All right.
No, you've got it.
Yeah.
No, but
there's things I forget this anyway. The meaning of black.
Oh, okay. This is the meaning of black according to the dictionary. And it reads, black, any person of a Negroid people. A Negro. Any member of dark-skinned ethnic group. Dirty, angered.
They don't even call the Indians that, because they're not ethnic group.
No, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. Don't worry, we're going to get to that.
Ethnic group. Dirty, angered, sullen, threatening, dishonor, evil, sinister, gloomy.
Right, so the reason why the brothers and I felt it necessary to define black is because black is an adjective, and an adjective is not a noun. So in other words, it's not a name, it's a description. So they've labeled a people group by a description rather than a name. So that's off straight away. But it is what it is. There's a particular group of people identified as black. Right. So now when we go into Genesis, could somebody go into Genesis? Because it's black history, right? So we're delving into black history, but it's going to be short. Somebody go into Genesis 1, 27 to 28.
Genesis 1.
And somebody else Genesis 2, Oh, yeah, go on, yeah.
Genesis 1 and 20.
7 to 20. 27 to 28.
So the Most High created man in his own image. In the image of the Most High created he him.
Right, so the Most High created man. Plural.
Mankind.
Yes, plural. Men, right? Man, yeah, go on.
Male and female created he them.
Them, so that's plural. That's like saying a thumb or a thumb. A thumb is plural. Right, go on.
And the Most High blessed them. And the Most High said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it and have
No,
dominion.
that's it. Let's replace the yeah, could we just deal with that issue? Say that up to
In verse 28, and
Yeah.
the Most High blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish
Replenish the earth. Right, good. Jump to Genesis 2 and 7 now.
Genesis 2 and 7, and Yahweh power formed man.
Stop. So the reason why you have in Genesis 1 and 27 mankind being created, and in Genesis 2 verse 7 what is now known as the Negroes were being created, right? A group out of that group. Go on, finish it off.
And Yahweh formed man of the dust of the ground.
Of the dust of the ground. What color is the dust of the ground? What was your definition of Negro? Didn't they have dust in it? Dusty, brown, dirty, dirt.
Yes, it does.
Right. Go on.
And breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
So this particular group of people became a living soul because the word was spoken unto them. They received the scripture. Right. So could somebody now could go into page 399 of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Go to 399 first. Page 399.
Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 399. Niger, so it's pronounced Niger, says black.
That's it. So Niger or Niger means black, right? Remember, Black History Month. We deal with Black history. So Niger means black, right? Niger is also read this underneath.
Niger, nigger, negro, nigger, niger, is like a section. All mean black or brown.
They all mean the same thing. They're synonyms. Yeah? They mean the same thing, right? Okay. So could you jump to page 213, dealing with how?
Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 213, it says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor.
So he's the forefather. So Black History Month, we identify the origins of the black people, which is in Genesis 2 and 7, I believe. Now, after the flood, we're identifying the root of black people after the flood. Go on now.
The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races.
So he became the progenitor of the dark races, right? So one would say the dark races are the Africans. Ma'at earlier was saying, how come they don't mention the Elamites when they talk about dark races? Because the Elamites oftentimes are darker than us. But this is breaking it down. So go on, finish it off.
It says, not the Negroes.
Not the Negroes. So we've already identified with the preceding verse in Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, page 399. the Niger means Negro, means nigger. Right? Not the niggers, not the Negroes, but God.
But the Egyptians,
Have you got Genesis 10?
Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites.
Turn at 6 up. Go to Genesis 10 at 6. Right. Could you read out what you just read again?
It says, he became the progenitor of the dark races,
Right.
not the Negroes,
Not the Negroes,
but the Egyptians,
the Egyptians, the
Ethiopians,
Ethiopians,
Libyans,
the Libyans,
and Canaanites.
Canaan. Read up, please. This is Genesis 10 and 6. Read that.
Genesis chapter 10 verse 6. And the sons of Ham,
The sons of Ham. We just read it there in the Zondervan's. Go on.
Cush,
Cush, Ethiopian. No, slow. Cush, say it again.
Cush,
Ethiopian.
and Mizraim.
Mizraim is the Hebrew word for Egypt. Egypt means black face. Mizraim or Matazarium means between a rock and a hard place. Go on.
And Put,
Put is the Hebrew word for Libyan. Go on.
and Canaan.
And Canaan is the same there, Canaan. So this is listed, the Bible is listing out what Zondervan Compact Bible is telling you, Lord, that the Hamites and the Negroes are not the same.
What the Bible is showing, that only out of the seed of Ham, only 4 families of the earth make up the seed of Ham. Only 4 families.
He just listed them out, including the Ethiopians. So now, could somebody get, you're in 10:01, jump to 21.
And initially, when the earth was created back in Genesis, everyone would have been of a shade of brown. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause it
Yeah,
says-
they would make from the ground.
yeah, that's right. And
Let me just break something out. Break something down. When the scriptures in Genesis 1 and 27 and 28 says man, in the Paleo, in the Hebrew, it doesn't say man. It says Adam. It says Adam. It says Adam and Adam Yam. Adam, mankind, it also means dirt. It means the same thing, it means soil. So men were made from the soil.
that's clarified in 2:7.
Yes.
But in 2:7, he actually then chose the spirit.
But that's in 2 and 7.
Yeah, that's what's in
Yeah, that's what it said. Yeah. So right. So now, could you go to Genesis 10:21, please?
Genesis 21 and 10.
No, the 10. You're already in 10. Just jump to 21.
Sorry,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Genesis chapter 10 verse 21.
Right.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber.
Right. So we already know, or it's established, or maybe it's not established, but most people know that after the flood, you had Noah, which is Nak in the Hebrew, which means rest, and his 3 sons and their 3 wives. So you had Japheth the elder, you had Shem, and you had Cam or Ham the younger. So just read out, just for clarification.
Genesis chapter 10 verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber.
So the children of Eber, otherwise known as the children of Hebrew, otherwise known as Bani Ibar, which means children crossed over, because it means the same thing, God.
The brother of Japheth, the elder.
Right, so as we said earlier, Japheth was the eldest son, God.
Even to him were children born.
Right. So we're listing out black history. I've already qualified what black means. It's an adjective, right? It is not a noun, it is not a name, it's a description. But it's a description that's tagged onto a particular group of people and nobody else. Because I've never seen an Elamite called a nigger or called a negro. But most of them are darker than me. Right? So it's tagged to a specific group of people. Right. Can I get anybody? Songs of Solomon 1, 5, and 6.
This is the book of Songs of Solomon, chapter 1, and verse 5. And it reads, I am black, but comely.
So that I am black but comely, when you read into the footnotes, because on top of black there's a number, right? When you read into the footnotes that corresponds with that number, it says dark. Go on, and what?
Oh,
Black and
but comely.
comely. When you go into the number of that in the footnote, it says lovely. So black and comely in the plain English would be dark and lovely. Yeah?
You're going to have to say as well. See what the brother just said? Dark and lovely. And that's how they got the name of that hair product
Yes.
that you see they sell.
Yes.
Called Dark and Lovely. That's how they got that name.
Yes, and who is dark and lovely products primarily directed to? Yes, that's the point. Well said.
What did they say? What the other say? They want a dark and handsome.
Dark and handsome.
Dark and handsome. Yeah.
Yeah, that. Did you go to 6?
No.
Yeah, go to 6. Go to 6.
To 6?
No, finish it and then go to 6.
This is Songs of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse 5.
Yes.
It reads, I am black, but comely.
I'm dark and lovely.
O ye daughters of
So
Jerusalem.
the reason for that is the person who's being referred to here is from Shulamite. It's a Shulamite. So Shulamite is a tribe of Issachar. So she's an Issacharite. Go on.
As the tents of Kedar.
So the reason why it's likening her complexion to the tents of Kedar, because the tents of Kedar, actually, when you look at the cover and you look at what's covering it, the color of that is what she's saying is the color she was. Because that's the tents of Kedar. Go on.
Right. As the curtains of Solomon.
So if Shulamite is an Israelite woman,
Well, that's the point.
Verse 6. Look not upon me, because I am black.
So the Shulamite woman is speaking to a group, another group of women that are of a different tribe or of the same nation. Go on.
Look not upon me, because I am black, because the sun has looked upon me. My mother's children were angry with me. They made me the keeper of vineyards.
So she was out in the hot sun every single day. So that activated her melanin. So she became as dark as the tents of Kedar. And the group she was speaking to, is it mentioned there? Go on, finish.
But mine own vineyard have I not kept.
Alright. So the group she was speaking to was the daughters of Jerusalem, which would be Benjamin, Salakia, Yehoiada, Judah, Benjamin, and Israel. So she was speaking to them.
Which it says that in verse 5.
Yes, they did say
Oh,
in
ye
verse 5,
daughters of Jerusalem.
Right,
So it shows
right.
you
So, yeah.
verse 5,
Right.
who she's addressing.
No, I know it was in there, but I thought it was in 6.
I know.
Alright, cool. So that's that. So now I would like, you've got the Zondervan, you put it down. Zondervan, page 552. Look for you wouldn't see Shulamite, you'll see Shunem or something like that. Page 552. Oh yeah, this one is.
Zondervan Compact Dictionary, page 552, the Shulamite is a title applied to a young woman in the Song of Solomon, 6:13, probably native of Shunem. See Shulamite.
No, well that was it. That's the information is there. So the Shulamite or Sulamite is a daughter of Issachar. You should have Issachar in one of these yellow highlighted.
Yeah, Shunem.
Read that out.
Says a place belonging to the tribe of Issachar.
Issachar, so she's an Issacharite. So I'm just bringing this up because I'm dealing with black history. I'm dealing with the history that we're not being taught. All right, we're on pause. JJ pause.
JJ's coming fast.
Yeah, all right, good. Yeah, all right then. So now, can I get Acts 4 and 36? And somebody else, Acts 13 and 1.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 4.
And 36, yes. So now somebody else get Acts 13 and 1 because I want it lined up straight away. Go on.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 4, and verse 36.
36, yeah.
And reads, and
Joseph would be Yahawasap or Yawasap or Joseph in the Hebrew.
who by the apostle was surnamed Barnabas,
Right, so what was happening was in the body there was so many people with similar names because Hebrews tend to name based on famous men and also based on patriarchal, the grandfather, whatever. So a lot of people had the same name. So this is why there was surnames, so you could identify who's who. So go on.
Also, by land.
Yes, but that was identified with the Shulamite, or Shulamite. She was Issacharite, but the name, the area she was from, was Shulam. Go on.
it says, and Joseph, who by the apostle was surnamed Barnabas,
He was surnamed Barnabas. So the apostle named Barnabas, that's not his name. His name is Yahwasap or Yahawasap. He was surnamed Barnabas to identify him from another Joseph or Joseph.
which is being interpreted the son of consolation.
So Barnabas means son of consolation.
A Levite, and of the country of Cyprus.
So he was from Kittim. Cyprus in the Hebrew is Kittim. So he wasn't even from Israel. He wasn't from, his part of it is Greece, but he was from an island that we now know as Cyprus. Right. So now, could you jump to that?
It's the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 1.
We're dealing with black history.
Now there were in the church that was at Antioch.
So the church is the called out assembly. The called out assembly at Antioch, go on,
Certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon.
who we've already identified as the Joseph, who was a Levite from Kittim or Cyprus, go on,
Yeah, as Barnabas and Simeon.
and Simeon, Samaria one, go on.
That was called Niger.
So we've
or
already
Niger.
broken down what nigger or niger or Niger or Negro means. It all means black. We already broke that down, so we don't need to go there. Right, so we're dealing with black history. Go on, finish it up.
And Lucius of Cyrene.
Right, so Lucius of Cyrene, I have to show you where Cyrene is as well, because when you see where Cyrene is, you're going to realize that Lucius was from an African, what we would now colloquially call an African country. Let me see if I can find Cyrene here. If not, you're going to have to take my word for it. Usually I can find it in my biblical map, but I'm not finding it. But Cyrene was north. Oh yeah, here we go. This is the Latin version of it. Can you see Cyrenica? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Well, let me show you. Right, this here, look. That there, that's Cyrenica, that's Cyrene, yeah? So he was from that area, North Africa. Go on.
Oh, me. Yeah, Lucius of Cyrene. And what's that? Manaim.
Manaen.
Yeah, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul.
Saul, otherwise known as Paul. So Saul's name was not surname, but it was altered as well, because there most probably was another Saul as well. So what they did, if there's two of the same name, they would surname them, or they would give you like a nickname.
An example of that is chapter 10. You got Simon called Peter.
Yes.
Simon the Canaanite.
Yeah, that's right. So he was from Canaan. Right, so could somebody now bring out Acts 21, 37 to 38. Could you get Amos 901? 21, 37 to 38. You get Amos 901.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 21 and verse 37, and it reads, "And as Paul was to be led into the castle, he said unto the chief captain, May I speak unto thee? Who said, Canst thou speak Greek?
Right. So why is this being noted in the scriptures? Because if Paul looked like a Greek man, or looked like a Roman, or looked like an Edomite, why would a Roman god or an Edomite god be surprised when he spoke Greek? He would assume that he would be speaking Greek. Right? If you go to Nigeria and you see a tourist, well not a tourist, but you see an Edomite in Nigeria, you're thinking, oh, he's a tourist. If he start talking a dialect of Nigerian language, you'd be like, rah! What? So that's what happened. He said, what? You speaking what, God?
Who said, Canst thou speak Greek?
What? You can speak Greek, God.
Verse 38, Art not thou that Egyptian?
Right. So he's looking at Paul, otherwise named as Saul, he's from the tribe of Benjamin, and he's saying, aren't you an Egyptian? Or aren't you that Egyptian? Is that it? Yeah, go on.
Oh, art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days madest an approach, an uproar, and leddest out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?
Right, so that was kind of unnecessary information because it has nothing to do with him, right? So there was an Egyptian that did that, and my guy thought he was that Egyptian. It has nothing to do with Paul, so it's not irrelevant, but it's not necessary for black history or our history. So, right, could you bring up your piece of
Book of Amos chapter 9
because he
verse
was
7.
likened unto an Egyptian. Go on.
Amos chapter 9 verse 7. Are ye not as the children of Ethiopians?
Right. So what's funny about this is a lot of people don't bring this out, right? But when you hear Egyptian and you hear Ethiopian, you think of them as two different people groups. But actually, anybody that studied Egyptology or black consciousness will tell you that the kings, the rulers of Egypt came from two lands, right? They came from Nubia and they came from Kush, right? And when the Nubian kings or bloodline, royal bloodline, married the Kush bloodline, that's where the title King of Kings came from. That's the double crown. Because what it is, the rulership of Egypt was either the Ethiopians or the Nubians, or sometimes both when the crowns were united. So what this is actually linking up with, are you like an Ethiopian? It's also linking up with, are you like an Egyptian? Was that it?
Book of Amos chapter 9 verse 7. Are ye not as the children of Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel?
Oh, children of Israel. So what it's doing there, the Bible is identifying the children of Israel having similar skin tone or similar melanin content in look as the children of Egypt and the children of Ethiopia. We're dealing with black history. So we're staying on topic. Black history is what we do.
That should start the bell ringing.
This is Genesis 12 and 1.
Yep.
It says, Now Yahweh hath said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country.
Right, so first off, in this particular scripture, his name was not changed yet. So his name, Abram, means exalted father. Ab means father, Ram means exalted. So Ram Gabar Gedalia means Ram exalted, Gabar warriors, and Gadal is great. Yeah, great exalted warriors. That's a side one.
Now Yahweh said unto Abraham, get thee out of thy country and from thy kindred.
Because he was living in the land of the Chaldeans, the land of Earth. So he said, come out of that and go on.
And from thy father's house,
Right.
unto a land that I will show thee.
Right. Promised land.
And I will make of thee a great nation.
So this is where the whole, this is where the history is beginning to correlate or coalesce. It's beginning to unfold itself. Go on.
And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great.
I will bless thee and make thy name great. There's so many nations and people that yell out or claim about Abraham. Right? Even the Muslims, they claim him. They say Ibrahim. Because he is their father as well. Even the Midianites, Abba Abraham. Why? Because they descend kind of off of him. But the chosen selected line, which is the history we're dealing with, the Negroes, they descend from Abraham. Go on,
And thou shalt be a blessing, and I will bless them that bless me, bless thee.
right, so listen to this. Abraham's seed in perpetuity will be a blessing, right? Because the Most High's word doesn't come up void. So if he said it, it is. There will be a blessing. But there's a contingency to the blessing. So I want you to visualize a will. Your dad passed away, he left a will. There's a contingency to the will. If my son passes his exam, gets his degree, gets married, he's gonna inherit all of my wealth. If he doesn't, he ain't getting a cent. That's a contingency. So listen to this contingency.
So Genesis 12 and 3, it says, and I will bless them that bless thee,
Black History Month is what we're dealing with. Short and sweet. Go on.
and curse him that curseth thee.
Right. So the contingency with this blessing is, if you bless the Negro or the blacks, I hate to use the word black, that's why I'm saying Negro, but it's the same group. If you bless the blacks, you will be blessed. If you curse the blacks, you will be cursed. Could somebody bring out the priest? I don't know it off by heart. I know it's in Maccabees, where it says, which nation did not... Yeah, could somebody bring that out? Not you. Could somebody bring that out, please? Quickly. Yeah, because it's related. Yeah, First Maccabees 1 is
2:10.
Yeah, 2 is into it. First Maccabees 2. Whoever gets it first. Because I need it. Snap.
Book of First Maccabees,
Go ahead.
chapter 2, verse 10.
Yeah, listen to this.
What nation have not had a part in her kingdom?
Right, stop. Read that again. The contingency. Bring out.
Genesis 12 and 3, and I will bless them that bless thee.
Right, so Abraham's seed will be a blessing to the earth, and the Most High is going to bless them, whoever it may be, that blesses Abraham's children, which I've identified, or I will identify as the Negro. Go on, the next bit.
And curse him that curseth thee.
Right, bring that out now.
Book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 10. What nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
What nation has not raped, pillaged, plundered, killed, genocided, stolen their land, stolen their language, stolen their name, stolen their history? None! None! Go on, say yours.
So
What precept?
Oh, bring out.
Read that again out.
Bring out.
Book of First Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 10. What nation have not
Black
had a part
history we're dealing with.
in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils?
This is just the background as well. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 25 and verse 14. And it reads, for many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also, and I will recompense them according to their deeds and according to the works of their own hands.
So it's validated that every single nation has had a hand in cursing. Because what is a curse? A curse is a bad thing. Getting raped is a bad... Look, my app did a video that really touched me. Right? That was Deuteronomy 22 and 5 or 7?
Yeah, 2025.
I urge everybody watch that video. Yasha Allah's 20-minute breakdown, Deuteronomy 22 and verse 5. In the video, he produced some images. When you see these images, you're going to understand why I'm so on fire, right? All of them had a hand in our spoil, right? So which means all of them cursed us, which means all of them will be cursed. Yeah? Fine. Yeah.
Jeremiah 50 and 6 says, my people has been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. Verse 7. All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their
So that has to be broken down, because what they actually said, in a sense, is not incorrect. Could you read that last bit again? Because what they actually said is actually correct. Then they're not offending, because when we break the covenant, we are fuel for the fire, and it's our fault. But their problem is they overdid it. Yeah, they didn't did it, they overdid it. Right? That's like an overcooked lamb.
It says, verse 7, all that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not,
We offend not, we ain't doing nothing wrong, go on.
because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers.
Hope of our fathers.
This is Genesis 12 and 3. It says, and I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee.
Right.
And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed.
In thee, so in Abraham's, these people like to use the term DNA. So the DNA of Abraham, which is passed down, patrilineage, so that would be, not mitochondrial, what's the word for it? I'm trying to remember the name for it. So it's mitochondrial DNA is the DNA that you got from your mom. The DNA, could somebody do a search on that? The name of the DNA you get from your dad. Not mitochondrial, the other one. All right. Somebody get it. All right. So anyway, so that's that. So can we get to you did what did you just say?
Genesis
12, 1 to 3. Right. Could somebody bring out Exodus 1, 1 to 5, please? Right, bring out.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 1.
Oh, mitochondria. Oh, yeah. So the name for the DNA that's passed down by the father is mitochondrial DNA. Right. No, sorry.
Exodus 1, 1 to 5.
Exodus 1, 1 to 5.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel who came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob.
Right, so the reason why we're doing that is because we're showing black history. A short synopsis of black history. The people have been identified as black, identified as an adjective because they've been stripped of their knowledge of self. So we are reconnecting black knowledge. Go on now.
Verse 2, Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah.
Rawaban, Shemaiah,
Levi,
Lawaya,
and Yahweh.
and Yahawada.
Issachar,
Issachar,
Zebulun,
Zabalawan,
and Benjamin.
Benjamin. Come, give me some love. Yeah. Go on, sorry about that. That's my brother from way back.
Dan and Naphtali,
Dan and Naphtali,
Gad and Asher.
Gad and Asher. Right? So they said the same in English and Hebrew.
All the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls.
Go on.
For Joseph was in Egypt already.
So he was already there, so actually it was 71 souls. Right? Go on. That part? Alright. Could you jump from 8 to 11?
Verse 8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt which knew not Joseph.
Right, so the significance of that is that the kings, new king, had a very good relationship with Yahweh, because Yahweh saved the nation of, not just the nation of Israel, but all the surrounding nations from the dearth or the drought. Because of his wise counsel and his ability, he was a prophet, so the Most High was directing.
And Egypt grew because of that.
And Egypt grew because of that. So he had a good relationship. But what happened was, the kings that had a good relationship with him were no more, and now you had kings that resented Yasha'Allah, because they were multiplying exceedingly. Anyway.
Verse 8 again. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when they had fallen out any war, they joined also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. This is down to 11.
Yeah.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
Right. So what you're going to start to observe is that one of the history or one of the identifying markers, right, which we would define in Deuteronomy, somebody could bring that up for a sign and a wonder. One of the identifying markers of Yasha'Allah is that they, anytime they sin or they transgress against the law of God, found in 1 John 3 and 5, I believe. Anytime they 3 and 4, anytime they transgress the law of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, they will be prey for the other nations. They're going to go into bondage, into slavery. Go ahead.
Says, come on, let us deal right. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them.
And those taskmasters, when it fast forward, were slave masters.
Yes.
That's what the taskmasters are.
Yes.
Says to afflict them with their burdens. They built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses.
Right. So I want to show you something. The treasured cities, right? Say it again.
Pithom and Ramesses.
I want to show you something because I looked at the location of those treasured cities. Come to find out, those particular treasured cities are located. Are the nearest cities located to Goshen, right? So this is Goshen. Can you see it? This is Goshen, right? This is Goshen. And if you look next to Goshen, you're going to see Pithom, and what's the other one?
Ramesses.
And Ramesses. So those two cities, we built them. According to the scriptures, according to the location of where they're located.
Just
We
like we
built them.
built this place, man.
Yes, but we're dealing with history that is unknown.
I'll say quickly, we want to say shalom to the brother Jacob Ben Yasharallah. Shalom to Warrior Charge, and shalom to the beloved brother Yerasikam, man.
Shalom, Wahab. Shalom, Wahab. Right, so 15 to 19, same chapter. Exodus 1, 15 to 19.
Exodus 1, verse 15.
Yeah, no problem.
And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah,
Shiphrah,
and the name of the other Puah,
who was a Tola'ite, who was from the tribe of Issachar as well, right? So this history, we brought this out sometime last year, or maybe even the year before. We brought it out through the Spirit and Power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. So Puah, or a mouthpiece, right? And Shiphrah were the midwives. Go on, read it.
16. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the schools,
So we're dealing with black history. Go on.
if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
Right. So this proves two things. One, it proves that the seed doesn't come from the woman. That's why they allow them to live. Because they could breed the women and the children are not going to be Israelites. That's number one. And number two,
Right.
and number two, it proved that they were systematically planning to kill the males, right? So let me show you something now. Because we're dealing with black history. Come. Do you think you did just now? Behind the camera. I want you to watch this, Israel. Watch this.
Yeah,
This is
the
a
truth.
graph. No, I'm dealing with that one as well. Right. Yeah, I see what you mean. You got it? Right. So this graph, look at the list of deaths from other means. I think this graph was made up to 2016, so these figures would be even higher. But let's look at this. What's that, AIDS?
Yeah, AIDS.
Call them out.
AIDS, violent crimes,
Right, that's black and black crime, go on. Or brown and brown crime, go on.
accidents,
Accidents, go on.
cancer,
Cancer, go on.
heart disease,
Heart, what's this one now?
abortion.
Abortion, right? Which we just read it out. So we're showing the history, Israel, right? We're showing the history. Go on.
Verse 17 and 18. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive?
So the sisters, unlike, I'm sorry to say this because I love our sisters, and I blame the men 50 to 60% as well as the women for the abortion rate and all of that. So I'm not trying to put it all on the women. I love our sisters, but it is what it is. But listen to these sisters, and these sisters were under bondage, under Pharaoh. Listen to these warriors.
And in fear of their life. Let's not forget that point.
Yes. Bring it out.
Verse 19. And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the evil women are not as the Egyptian women,
They're not the same. Remember, there's a difference between right, go on, bring out.
but they are lively.
Lively fun.
The other women, them are dead.
Yes.
And are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them.
So before the midwife even come to do, it was an excuse, but before the midwife could even do what they were ordered to do, which they weren't doing it, the child was delivered because the Most High, although he cursed Eve and said that you're going to have pain and childbearing, merciful. So he knew the plan of Pharaoh and he counted it. That's it. That's it.
But it's funny enough now, like when you look at us through slavery, we always multiply, we don't decrease.
Yeah. So this is Exodus chapter 4, 6 and 7.
Yeah, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 4 and verse 4.
No, 6 to 7.
So like, yeah, start again. This is Exodus chapter 4 and verse 6. And it reads, and Yahweh said furthermore unto him,
Say that again, right? That's how we say that again.
and Yahweh said furthermore,
Now, one more time.
and Yahweh said
Go on.
furthermore unto him,
Yeah.
put now thine hand into thine bosom.
Right, so basically what this is describing now, I don't have my code, but imagine, that, right, go on.
Put now thine hand into thine bosom. And he, which was Moses, put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out,
No. When you took it out,
and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
white as snow, yeah? Go on, read.
Verse 7. And he said, put thine hand into thine bosom again.
Right, go on. Yeah.
And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom. And behold, it was turned again as his other flesh.
So what this is, remember, we're dealing with, this is Black History Month, the shortest month in the year, right? So we're dealing with a short synopsis of what they call Black history. We call it Yasharala history, but they call it Black or Negro history. So one of the things, one of the identifying markers, somebody did yeah? Alright, yeah. So one of the identifying markers is that we are going to be brown or tan, because I'm not into colorism, so we come in different shades, but we're melanated. Let's put it like that. We're melanated people, right?
And there's a good purpose for that melanin, like to survive
So we can live in
comfortably
the sun.
on display.
Because believe it or not, in the Levant or Jerusalem, which is actually located from the Nile River to the Euphrates River, some of the hottest temperatures known to man occur there. So you need melanin.
That's why they got the highest rate of this.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Bring out.
This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 46.
Right.
It reads, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder and for upon thy seed forever.
Right, right. So what this is identifying is that our melanin, or the way we look, is going to be on us, la'ay walamyam, forever. Right? So we're different shades, but we're melanated people.
And this is the book of Exodus chapter 4, verse 21, and it reads, and Yahweh said unto Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt, when thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go.
So the reason why Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, hardened Pharaoh's heart is actually listed out in Romans 9.
Romans chapter 9.
Because the Most High doesn't do things just like that. He has a plan.
Romans 9
Verse 17.
and 17. For the scripture says unto Pharaoh, even for the same purpose have I raised thee up, that I might show my power in thee, that my name might be declared throughout all the earth.
So the reason why he hardened Pharaoh's heart is so that he could do that fantastic work, which we're going to explain later on, and that his name will evoke fear and dread in all the nations throughout the earth. Because Pharaoh was the principal nation, just like USA is the principal nation now. That's why it is likened unto Sodom and Egypt. Right? Sodom because they adore sodomy, and Egypt because Egypt had a particular nature about it, and America exhibits that nature.
And just to confirm what the brother said as well, like back in Egypt, we were bondmen. Here, we are still in the same state. Here. Verse 22.
They won't let us go.
No. You know why? Because the Most High hardened their hearts.
To show his power.
Right. Exodus chapter 4 and verse 22. And it reads, and thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith Yahweh, Israel,
Yashala.
Israel, I have to say it 3 times,
Established.
is my son, even.
Listen to that. So Israel is the son of God. That's what it just said. Say it again.
Israel is my son.
Well, who's speaking now?
Thus saith
No, who's
Yahweh.
speaking? Yeah, go on. Yeah, go on.
Thus saith Yahweh.
Yahweh. So Yahweh himself said, Israel is my son. So all Israel are the sons of God, according to the scripture.
Israel is my son, even meaning indeed my firstborn.
I don't even have to add to that. That's it. Right.
This is the book of Exodus chapter 5 and verse 2.
Yeah.
Exodus 5 and verse 2, it says, and Pharaoh said, who is the Lord, Yahweh?
Now listen to this. Goliath, a young Noah. Listen to this idiot. Right here, listen to the pride. Go on.
And Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh, that I should obey his voice to let Israel go?
That's like, I use an analogy. That's like you're in Brooklyn, New York, or you're in some part of Jamaica in the gully or the trenches, and you're going to the gun of the area and you say, who are you that I should listen to you? Are you nuts? So much less Yahweh power. Go on.
Read that again from the top.
It said, and Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh that I should obey his voice to let Israel go?
And you know what? And that's even some of our people today. You know, they say, I don't believe in God. That's the same as saying who is. It's exactly the same thing. So there's nothing new under the sun.
But bearing in mind, his heart was hard because he actually, there's a point where he wanted to let him go, and then the Most High hardened him again. So, yes. So bearing in mind, this whole thing is playing out because Yahweh said so.
That goes back to your precept. The Lord's heart is in the hand.
Yes. Yes. That's Proverbs 21 and 1 and 2.
And Pharaoh said, who is Yahweh that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I know not Yahweh, neither will I let Israel go. And they said, the power of the Hebrews have met with us.
Say that again. The power of the Hebrews. So remember, the power in the Greek, that would be God. In the Hebrew, that would be Allahaya. Yeah? So Allahaya of the Hebrews, God of the Hebrews, power of the Hebrews, is the same thing. It just transliterates.
It says, and they said, the power of the Hebrews have met with us.
Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Allahaya, Alakadia, Hakadal.
Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the desert, and sacrifice unto Yahweh our power, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword.
Because that's how he rolls. Because he's a man of war. So when he deal with you hard. But why? Because if you're an austere parent, which is a good parent, by the way, because the scripture says, spare a rod, spoil a child. So if you're a good parent, sometimes you have to come with a beating. Spare a rod and don't spoil it.
Show her how we identify
So the people, okay. So what we usually would do, we would go into Deuteronomy, the first Deuteronomy 1. Now you want to go down God first. Yeah, hold on. Deuteronomy 1.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 1 and verse 1. And it reads, these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
Right, so the whole book, what we call a book, is a scroll. It was just a long scroll. It didn't have any paragraphs, it didn't have any full stops, it didn't have any chapters. It was one book. So what this is identifying is that the whole book of Deuteronomy is
these be the words which Moses spake unto all Israel.
Right, so it's to all Israel. Right. Then, after that, we could jump to Deuteronomy 28:1 and then 15.
It's the book of it's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it reads,
we're going to read it here. You know the account of the Israelites coming out of Egypt. They were slaves of the Egyptians. But when they were delivered, they went into a covenant with God.
And it reads, verse 1 of chapter 28. And it shall come to pass.
This is a prophecy. When you hear the word shall, it means it's going to happen. Yeah, God.
And it shall come to pass.
It's going to happen.
If thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
if you listen to the Most High God,
to observe and to do all his commandments,
to do everything he tells you to do, as a good son does to a good and loving father,
which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
Right, so when I'm listening at how you can identify this book belongs to Israel. So what it's saying is that if you follow the commandment you will be placed on high above all the other nations. So the people that are above all the other nations now, are they following any commandment? No. Right. But they're above. So we know it's not them. Because if they were the people, they would be above. They would be at the bottom of the bottom. Could you read 15 now?
Verse 15. This is the stipulation. It says, but it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
We already know that they didn't.
to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses
He's a goofy. He's a lucky. He's a goofy.
verse 15 of Deuteronomy chapter 28, and it reads, but it shall come to pass,
It will happen. It has happened.
if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God,
Because you're hardened and you don't listen to your father's command.
to observe to do all his commandments
To do everything he told you to do.
and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So can I ask you something? Is a curse a good thing or a bad thing? Is a curse a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing. So what he's saying is all these bad things will happen to you. Right. So you want to bring out, what's the one before, please? Yeah, which one? Yeah, 45. Listen to this, go on.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 45.
Listen to this.
It says, moreover, all these curses shall
Bad
come,
things
shall come upon thee
will come upon that group of people which in one is identified as the children of Israel. Deuteronomy 1 and 7.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
So which group of people on this planet, anywhere you go, are at the bottom, are the destroyed? Just look. You see it now, but who identifies?
Say, man.
Huh? You don't know? Oh, okay, all right. Okay.
I just don't want to.
Yeah, I understand. It's the spirit. The spirit very good. Go on, go on.
It says, till thou be destroyed,
Go on.
because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power,
Because you're hardened and you didn't listen to your father. You didn't listen to your power, Abanawa, Yahweh Basham Yahushai. Go on.
to keep his
You
commandments
didn't keep the commandment.
and his statutes which he commanded thee, and they shall be upon thee for a sign.
And
And
those curses, those bad things are going to be upon that people for a
sign,
a-
wonder,
forever.
forever.
So you look back in history and you tell me that that group of people that you know, you don't want to say, is at the bottom, have not been at the bottom. Huh? Right. Justice. Let's just kill it. Let's go to 16. Can I just bring this up? Let's bring up some of this. Yes. We're just putting the full stop on that line. Well, one second. We're going to determine that in a second.
But I just wanted to get, if possible, just two, because the brother wanted to show an image of 48.
All right. Yeah. Cool. Go on.
Right, this is Deuteronomy 28 and 48. It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee,
Right. I'm going to define enemies as well. Go on.
in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness.
So basically, these people, for breaking the commandments, have to go to another group of people for food, for water, for clothing,
And in want of all things.
everything. Like, if you ask any one of our people to name one thing that they're owed, one thing that they're owed, that their own people produce, in their crickets. Even like, for instance, there's clothing. Puff Daddy has a clothing line. As a people, we don't produce nothing to them. If the other nation says you're not getting no material,
Could you read that verse where it said our enemies?
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Right, so if you read Nehemiah chapter 5 verses 9, the last bit of the verse, it says, because of the reproach of the heathen, our enemies. So it's identifying the heathen, meaning the other nation as our enemy.
It says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall
Heathens are other nations.
the Lord shall send against thee
The Most High sent them against us, but we didn't listen.
in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
You got the image?
even if you go on Google and just type in yoke of iron,
Just like what the Bible says.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Yeah, but, now, logistically, that part we said that he should put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he has destroyed. Now, if you notice, like there's certain people wearing iron clothes. So how are they destroyed? Mentally destroyed because they don't know who they are. Yeah, that's how you're destroyed because now you're calling yourself after a colour of a crayon box. You know, like black, or you're calling yourself African American, African Caribbean, out of these. Right. So you're not calling yourself a nationality of people. What you're calling yourself is a colour.
It's an adjective.
Yeah.
It's not even how do you put it? Correct English grammar. You call a human being an adjective. You call a human being a noun, a name, not an adjective. That's a descriptor. So it's incorrect. So could you bring out?
That's a destroyed people. Don't know who they are.
This is the explanation in big cursive.
5 and 6.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68.
Bring it up.
It
That's
says,
what I want. I just want to nail it.
it says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Right. So he's going to define now what Egypt. I can tell you, but I want the biblical definition, and then I'll define it.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 5 and 6, and it reads, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage.
So Egypt is synonymous with bondage, but actually Egypt is Greek. So in the Hebrew, it would be called Montezari, which means from a rock or from rocks, which colloquially between a rock and a hard place. So if you're in between two rocks doing that, you're in bondage. Yeah? All right.
And another word for bondage, like just to cut to the chase. Yeah.
It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again
The bondage into slavery again.
with ships.
With ships. So I don't know if you're well informed with history. Well, it's funny because that's the topic today, Black History. Yeah, Black History Month. Black History. Right, but we're not really getting into who it's ruled by, we're getting into what it is and what it was. So one of the identifying markers of Black history is that there was slavery. It's not just the Black people, because the Black, what you call the transatlantic slavery started in 1690 officially, right? In Virginia with 20 and odd Negroes that were brought to the shores of Virginia. But actually, slavery started in the Americas in 1492 with the indigenous aborigines, with the Taínos, with the Arawaks, with the Caribs, with the indigenous people. They were being enslaved and brought to West Africa, and brought to Europe, and brought to India, and brought to Russia, or brought to all of Europe. Right? So the slavery started, the date they give us is actually incorrect. It started from, if you read Columbus's journal, it will tell you, when he landed in what they call Puerto Rico, or what they call Cuba, or what they call Hispaniola, he picked up people and he brought them back to Spain. So this particular incident only happened to Israel. There's no other group of people that can claim that. talking about indentured servitude. That's a misnomer. Because indenture have a contract attached to it. So even if you're a slave for 7 years, then you get land, then you get money, then you get seeds. You know, and plus you know who you are, you still have your name, you still have your language. Yeah? So that's how we identify who Israel is. There's so much more that we could go, but actually, you don't need to, because that's identifying who Israel is. So Israel are the people that the curse of the law is attached to. So other people, they're not getting judged. That's in bring bring that one out. Yeah, here we go. Knock up your bag, bro. So let me bring your bag properly. Yeah.
It's the book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 2, and it reads, "You only have I known of all the families of the earth."
So in other words, Israel only has the Most High known of all the other families on the earth. God.
Therefore, I will punish you.
So that's why we're under the curse of the law. We get punished. Other people ain't getting punished. We get punished. God.
And I will punish you for all your iniquity.
All I get to do is wicked transgressions of the law.
And I just say, just like, because it says you only have known, just to show you that he was actually from Israel. You know the one of God. Hear this word that the Lord spoke against you, or children of Israel. Just showing that it's always the Israelites who speak. And when it says Israel, I'm talking about the people, Israel, the real Israel. It's not those people in Israel today. You wish. Right.
Much interesting, the knowledge is very fluent. You know what I'm talking about, the reference.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Knowledge, man, you get keep great.
Alright, so what we do, we read the spirit. We got certain brothers that read spirit. They have the ability to read spirit. So if somebody's come, like you said, you come with a meat spirit, you're willing to listen, it's not a problem. We generally have a problem with people that come to mock and people that come to scoff. Because we're commanded, the scripture that says, we're supposed to shun them, we're supposed to rebuke them.
But you don't see up the team, you never
Yes. But if they come with the spirit that you're coming with, not the problem. Because what it is, push the word why? Because not everybody
historical pattern of this absolutely what we believe. That's what we want to see. That's what we want. We want justice.
so we cannot
Justice.
we cannot just shun a person like that without giving them the word, testing the spirit. So they're welcome to come. So you can tell your friends.
Respect. The reference as absolutely the description, kindness. My reference at IUIC for the best the way the nice when you do with our youth.
Right, so back to
Precept to last scripture.
You order everything from his righteousness. No
Book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 27. And ye shall know that I am in the midst of Israel. I am the Lord your God, and none else. My people shall never be ashamed.
that's right.
So we will never be ashamed to preach this word boldly. Boldly.
Give thanks, man.
Book of
Give thanks for your time. Many thanks for your time.
The book of Exodus 14 from 17 to 22.
Exodus chapter 14, verse 17. And I, behold, I will harden the heart of the Egyptians.
So the Most High again is declaring that He's going to harden their hearts.
And they shall follow them. I will get me honor on Pharaoh.
Right, so we already through the power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai broke down the reason why the Most High hardened Pharaoh's heart. It's in Romans 9:17, is it? Yeah, right. So we brought that down, but continue.
And upon all his hosts,
All his armies.
upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen.
And funnily enough, I heard a lecture recently, I think it was the tail end of 2002, where they did a scan of the Red Sea and they saw chariots under there. So they have the technology where they can scan. They actually saw chariots under there. Well,
Verse 18. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots, and upon his horsemen. Verse 19. And the angel of Yahweh, which went before the camp of Yasharallah, removed and went behind them, and the pillar of the cloud went from before their face,
So
and
listen to
stood
this.
behind them.
So what Mala'ak, and it's really nice because his name actually means angel as well. What Mala'ak is bringing out is a wonderful sign and wonder of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which the entire world to this day still talks about. Bringing out.
Of Exodus chapter 14,
Black mystery.
of Exodus chapter 14, verse 20. And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Yasharallah, and it was a cloud and darkness to them.
It was a cloud and darkness to the Egyptians.
But it gave light by night to these.
The same cloud gave light to Yasharallah.
That's right.
So that the one came not near the other all the night.
Yeah, he had them stumbling and groping in the dark like some idiot.
Verse 21. And Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and Yahweh caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that
Parted
night.
the sea.
By a strong east wind all that night,
Yeah.
and made the sea dry land.
He not only did he part the sea, he made the soil underneath, so that's going to be slushy. He made it hard. Listen to this wonder.
And the waters were divided. Verse 22.
The waters were divided.
And the children of Yasharallah went in the midst of the sea upon the dry ground,
They're walking dry ground, fam.
and the waters were a wall unto them.
A wall of water over there, so. A wall of water over there, so. Right? And they walk through the middle, go on.
And the waters were a wall unto them
See there?
on their right hand.
And you know why it had to be dry as well? No doubt about their carts.
They had cards, they had children, they had animals, whatever. Go on.
And the water were a wall unto them on their right hand and on their left.
On the left.
23.
No, 22, that's it. Right, can somebody bring out Leviticus 3? You there?
Leviticus, it's the book of Leviticus, chapter 26, verse 3. It says, if you walk in my statutes,
If ye, meaning Yasharallah, meaning Israel, if you walk in the statute, in other words, if you listen to your daddy and do what you tell him to do,
if you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them,
not just hear, not lip service, you do them, go on.
then I will give you rain in due season.
You're going to get rain in due season. Go on.
And the land shall yield her inheritance, shall yield her increase.
Right. So even in Israel right now, that land is not yielding its increase as it should. When we go there and we're seeing Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, then it's going to be that green, lush, fertile place.
And the trees of the field shall yield their fruit.
And the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. When Joshua went in there, I think it was Joshua, when he went in there, to grades them, they couldn't even lift on the grades them. They were so big. Go on now.
Verse 6 it says, and I will give peace in the land.
Peace will reign in the land. Is peace reigning in the land over there now? We're dealing with black history. Go on.
And I will give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid.
Right, so I don't know about anybody else, but I know when I was in the Word, I used to be a shook. I was never a shook one, but I used to think about things a lot, and a lot of things used to make me anxious because I overthink things. Yes, paranoia, that's perfect. Why? Because I'm thinking, maybe this could happen, maybe that could happen. We're going to be in our bed sleeping like babies. Go on.
And ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid.
See it there?
And I will root evil beasts out of the land.
Root evil beasts. Now, bearing in mind, Goliath actually means beasts as well. So we gonna root them out of the land.
Neither shall the sword go through your land.
There ain't gonna be no need for swords. You beat them to plowshares, right? Go on.
And ye shall chase your enemies.
Listen to this.
And ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword.
Now, I brought out Nehemiah 5 and 9, defining what enemies are. It's also in Psalms 8:3 as well. Right? Who our enemies are. Go on.
And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight.
Right, so just check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's spiritual. That's no way. Because your brother is not here today. Shalom Wahab. Daniela. Yeah? So right now there's 5, right? Read that again.
Yes.
That's spiritual.
And 5
5
of you
us
shall chase 100.
100 of them. Karate.
But you know what? That's usually the blessing.
Yeah, good, yes. Yes.
And then if you burn,
No, but Leviticus 26 is the blessing.
Yes, the same.
It's the same. Yeah, go on.
And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. And your enemy shall fall before you by the sword. For I will have respect unto you.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's
Wait
don't
a
respect
minute.
the person.
This is Yahweh. Yes. This is Yahweh. Hashem Yahushua speaking. Now, in the New Testament, there's a verse that says he's not a respecter of person. But what is he saying here? Say that again, man.
For I will have respect unto you,
Unto Israel.
and make you fruitful, and multiply you,
And multiply us
and establish my covenant with you.
and establish his covenant with us, bearing in mind, we already brought out the precept that said, I think it's Genesis 12, 1, 2, 3, I'm thinking, 12. Yes, no. Cursed are they that curse you, right? And blessed are they that bless through us, right? So their blessing comes through us being blessed. Don't isolate that. We have to be blessed first for them to be blessed. And if they curse us, which they all have, then they're going to be cursed. Continue on.
It's Leviticus 26 and 14. It says, but if you will not hearken,
let me read this. Deuteronomy 28 and 7 says, Yahweh shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face.
That's right.
They shall come out against thee one way and flee before thee seven ways.
Right, so the reason why the similarity between Leviticus and Deuteronomy is because the same person is speaking to the same audience. But because Yashala, black history, our history is we hard-headed and we don't listen.
Exactly.
So he has to constantly, through the power and the spirit of Yahweh Shai, repeat. So that's why the same thing that's in Leviticus. I'm sure if you look in Exodus, you might see something in there as well. You're going Deuteronomy, you see it there. You're going Joshua, you're going to see it there as well. All right.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Because if you notice, like Deuteronomy is the second law.
It means double word.
Exactly. So that's why it's repeated to confirm the word that was written
Because out of the
prior.
mouth of two or more
Exactly.
witnesses, every word is established. Read it.
this is chapter 26 of Leviticus verse 14. It says, but if you will not hearken unto me, and will not do all these commandments, and if ye shall despise my statutes,
Now this is a key as well, because despise is a strong hatred. So if you hate or despise the statutes or the commands, God,
and if ye shall despise my statutes, or if your soul abhor my judgments,
your soul, your whole spirit hates, strongly hates the judgments. If you're in that category, which is like a 2/3 category really, God,
so that ye will not do all my commandments, but that ye break my covenant, I will also do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror, consumption,
God,
and the burning ague.
and trust me, you don't want the burning ague. I heard a Hashem break down the burning ague, and I tell you what, I don't want that one. God, I don't want no part of that. God.
That shall consume the eyes, and cause sorrow of the heart.
Consume your eyes and soar your heart, which means your mind. You're going to be in pain and sorrow and illusion.
And ye shall sow your seed in vain.
You're not going to be fruitful, you're not going to multiply. Also, you're not going to increase your crops as well. It has a double meaning.
For your enemies shall eat it.
And that has a double meaning as well, because our enemies have been eating us. So they're devouring us. They actually are. Because we're likened to the prey, and they're likened to the predator.
Even when we have businesses and all of them, we still don't really care. Now you look at Black Wall Street, what happened to them? That's how you know that's not the way forward, man. I'm not saying don't try and have these things, but our people put their hope, you know, oh yeah, if we had loads of money and had big businesses, that's going to help us. No, man. Sometimes doing all that.
So bearing in mind, Leviticus 26 is basically Deuteronomy 28. It's just that we always bring out 28, that's why I'm bringing out this. It's the same thing. And what we're dealing with today is Black history. Yeah? We're not dealing with open a business and let's form a government. No, we're dealing with what has happened to our people in the past that's led us to here. That's what we're dealing with. Black history. That's the title.
Leviticus 26 and 17, it says, I will set my face against you, and ye shall be slain before your enemies.
Slain before your enemy, before the heathen, before the nation. God.
They that hate you,
Here we go.
they that hate you shall reign over you.
The people that reign over us hate us. They hate us. The Bible tells me so. The Bible tells me.
All right, man.
The Bible tells me. Say that again.
Yes.
But we're dealing with the Bible.
It is destruction
It
of the
says,
soul.
they that hate you shall reign over you, and ye shall flee when none pursueth you.
You shall flee. You're going to be you're going to be a shook one.
And you know where it says that you shall flee when none pursueth you? Is that what it just said? Yeah. So it's just, that's why you see sometimes people walking, and as they hear a siren, it's not even chasing them. They just hear police siren, and you see people
Why you
just
running? I
running.
ain't know. I just see somebody else running.
Yeah, you know.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 27.
See,
Yahweh,
Deuteronomy 28. Same thing.
that's Slakia, 25. Deuteronomy 28 and 25. Yahweh shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them. It shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
And the funny thing is, that's contrary to what happened when we came out of Egypt. Because when we came out of Egypt, the cloud was darkness to them and light to us.
Yeah.
So that has been reversed.
When you read Joshua 9, it says, we've come to thee because we've heard of the fame of thy power. Nothing powerful.
It's Leviticus 26 and 33.
Hey, look at us now, man.
It says, and I will scatter you among the heathen, and will draw out a sword after you, and your land shall be desolate, and your cities waste.
Now that's happening in Israel as we speak, but it's also happening everywhere where, because remember, we're dealing with black history. Everywhere black people are located, that is happening.
Verse 36, it says, and upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts.
You're going to be shook. You're going to be scared. You're going to be a punk.
A good example, people be driving. You know you're clean, you got your license, everything. You just see the siren's not even on. You just see the police come behind you, all of a sudden your mind
Start looking in the wing mirror. It says, and upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts, and in the lands of their enemies.
In the lands of their enemies, we find in Nehemiah 5 and 9, the enemies are the heathen. The heathen is an English word for Gentile. Gentile is a Greek word for Gawayim, nation. So meaning all the other people on the planet, we're going to be there suffering these things.
And
that's about in this context. You get some people who get simple when they hear the word Gentile, not realizing
You have to find it, because I deal with the words. I'm not dealing with what I'm reading the ancient words.
No, what I'm saying, when it comes to Gentiles and Paul, you can't just always point the other nation. Our people become Gentiles.
Yes,
That's why I said,
you can become a heathen.
yeah.
You can become uncircumcised. You can become a heathen. But you are still Yasha'Allah. You can pick up their ways. Go on.
this is Leviticus 26 and 36. It says, and upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness of hearts in the lands of their enemies, and the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them.
Now listen to that. Can you even hear it? Well, actually you can. When a weeping willow tree is shaking in the wind, it have a kind of noise like that. But that shouldn't make you shook. You should be shook up.
It says, and the sound of a shaken leaf
Come on.
shall chase them, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall where none pursueth.
You falling from a shaken leaf, man. Come on. That's why the other nations don't respect us. Black History Month, we're dealing with black so-called history.
And they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, when none pursueth, and ye shall have no power to stand before your enemies.
So this is the point. So getting to the point of Deuteronomy or Leviticus, Deuteronomy 28 or Leviticus 26, the point is, if we follow the commandment, if we honor the covenant that our ancestors made, we're going to be in good stead. That's found in Jude 5 as well. However, if we dishonor our ancestors and we do not honor the covenant, we are going to be prey to everybody. That's the point. Yeah, come on.
And the thing about it is, it's not that we're a weak people, but you've got your power against you. You know what I'm saying?
We actually are powerless without our power. So we are weak. Because if our power is not with us, we do the fight. It will show you.
Other people, like, we're not stupid, but it just goes to show that it's the most like directly working against us. You know what I'm saying?
Leviticus 26 and 38, it says, and ye shall perish among the heathen,
That's right.
and the land of your enemies shall eat you up,
The land of our enemies shall eat us up,
and they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity.
that's the remnant, because there's always a remnant. Right? So they're going to pine away in their iniquity, meaning they're going to be sorrowful and remorseful and mournful in their sin. So they're still going to be in their sin.
Pine away in their iniquity in your enemies' lands, and also in the iniquities of their fathers shall they pine away with them.
That's right. That's it. Oh, I've got it here. Alright, so that was all of that. Yeah? So could somebody get me Deuteronomy 32, 7 and 9? Deuteronomy 32:7.
Deuteronomy.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 32, verse 7. Remember the days of old.
Remember the days of old, because we're dealing with history. So when you're dealing with history, you're dealing with the days of old. Remember them. Go on.
Remember the days of old, considering the years of many generations.
Consider the years of many past generations, because it's not talking about future generations, although it's implied. But what it is talking about is the generations that passed. Go on.
Ask thy fathers.
Ask your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Rehoboam, Shemaiah, Naphtali, Yahshua, Yahshua, Yahushai, Masha, all of the prophets, Kal, Nabiah, all the prophets. God.
Ask thy fathers, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee.
That's why we give double honors to the elders that teach us well. God.
Verse 8. When the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance.
The Most High divided. I think that's in Genesis 10 or 11. God.
When he separated the sons of Adam.
He separated the sons of Adam. So don't come to me and say, we're all from Adam. We're all one. Because we're not. God.
He set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel.
According to the number of the children of Israel. Another way of saying that is according to the number of the black, Hispanic, Native Americans or indigenous Aborigines and West Coast Africans, for the most part, from Senegambia to Angola. There's other places as well, but for the most part. Go on now.
Verse 9. For Yahweh's portion is his people.
That's his people. We brought out the precept. He said, Yahweh have respect unto us. Go on.
Jacob is the lot of his inheritance.
Yaakov, Yasha'Allah, because it's the same thing. Yaakov's name was healed tripper or supplanter. That's what Yaakov means. His name was then changed to Yasha'Allah, his prince of power. The same individual. Go on now.
Thanks, guys. Guys. Yo, guys. Yo! This is the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 3. And it reads, every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon.
Listen to this.
That have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses.
Right. I want you to repeat that because I want that established. But what I want, Yasha'Allah, I want you all to understand is that everywhere you put your foot on the ground, anywhere on this planet Earth, belongs to you. Read it again. Read it again. Bring it out. Come on.
Joshua chapter 1 and verse 3.
Joshua means Yahushai, by the way. Go on.
Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon,
I'm putting chest in it, man.
that I have given unto you, as I have said unto Moses.
Read it again, man. Read it again, man. Put your chest in it. Put your chest in it, man. I ain't going nowhere. One more time.
This is 2nd Ezra 6 and 59. If the world now be made for our sake,
Go on.
why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure?
That's a rhetorical question because we don't possess an inheritance because of our disobedience. Bring that one up.
Joshua chapter 1 and verse 3.
Yes.
Every place, that's what I'm trying. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I have as said unto Moses.
Right. So nice. So you can relax now.
Thank you.
So it's been established. It's been established. Who is that?
Now that's the second one. He's pretending he's on his phone.
No, but what's that about?
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so you filming us, we're gonna film you. Yeah, we're gonna film you.
Yeah.
Demon. That's a demon.
That's going to be a curse on
That's
the
the
man.
second one.
Learn something today. Every step that
Jacob
you
Trouble
walk
is coming.
you can claim it.
Yeah.
Yahusha,
No, don't again. Okay, come. Yeah, don't worry. Joshua chapter 1 and verse 8. This is one of my favorite scriptures, actually. Yeah. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. Because one thing about Christians, they like to use this book to try and say this is the book of Christianity. But let's see what the Bible says this book is, out the Bible.
So the Spirit just led me to say this. The reason why it is imperative that we stay in the Word is because of agents and people that just came, that are videoing us, that are standing up next to us. I'm not saying that's you guys, but standing up next to us with recording devices. If we keep to the oracles of the Most High and keep to the Scriptures, we are going to be covered. When you start coming out of that,
which way they not use us and
you're going to be in trouble.
fake propaganda
This
against
is
us.
Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, and it reads, "This book of the law."
And you know, he even told me, by thy words thou shalt be justified.
Yes.
By thy words thou shalt be judged.
Now I take it from the top. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8, and it reads, "This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayst observe to do according to all that is written therein."
I'm sorry. By the way, that bit where it says, this book of the law shall not say it again.
This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth.
So that's validating what I was saying. So we need to stay in the Scripture. Try and not get into the yes, and the paraphrasing.
Well, I think,
Or the paraphrasing, or not adding to the word, but in a sense it kind of is. What it is, we are ordered to break down and make plain the word, not to add or to extend the word, right? To add our own thing on it.
I'll take it from the top. Joshua chapter 1 verse 8. "This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayst observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous."
So another reason why we are not prosperous, or when you look at the Fortune 500, or you look at any wealth index, right, you see a certain demographic in the top tier of that, and then you see a certain demographic to the bottom of that. It's because of, read it again. No, just the last one.
For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous.
So your way will be prosperous when you keep the words in your mind, in your heart, in your mouth, and you follow the Lord's statutes and commandments, and the faith in Yahweh,
And then thou shalt have good success.
prosperous and success kind of music. Chapter 23, 19.
Yeah, this is jump to the book of stay in Joshua, jump to chapter 24 and verse 19. Joshua 24 verse 19, and it reads, "And Joshua said unto the people,
Yahweh said unto the people,
Ye cannot serve Yahweh."
let me clarify. His name was Hawashai, which means salvation. And Masha, otherwise known as Moses, changed his name to Yahawashai, which means he is salvation, or Yahweh is salvation.
Yeah. And Joshua said unto the people, Ye cannot serve Yahweh, for he is an holy power. He is a jealous power. He will not forgive your
Now,
transgression.
does that not sound like a black man? Is that not the same traits and characteristics of a black man? Read that again. Because we're made in the image and likeness of our Father. God.
Yeah. Ye cannot serve Yahweh,
You can't serve the big man. God.
for he is an holy power.
He's set apart. He's different than all the other men. God.
He is a jealous power.
He's jealous, and I know that's a trait all of us can understand. God.
He will not forgive your
We
transgression.
don't tolerate transgression with our women or our loved ones. We don't tolerate it. God.
Nor your sins. Verse 24. Verse 24. Verse 24 of Joshua chapter 24. And it reads, And the people said unto Joshua, Yahweh our power, will we serve?
So
And-
this is the called out assembly, what is otherwise known as the church in the wilderness. They just come out of the wilderness. They've conquered certain lands, so they're in the land of Israel, otherwise known as Canaan. And this is what they declared. So I'm bringing this out because everybody knows, or a lot of people knows, the covenant that Moses made with the children of Israel. Not a lot of people know that Yahushua or Joshua did the same thing. Go on.
Verse 24 from the top. And the people said unto Joshua, Yahweh our power will we serve, and his
And
voice,
none else. Go on.
and his voice will we obey.
We're going to follow his law, statutes, and commandments. Yeah? His
Verse-
voice, this is his voice. The word.
Verse 25. So Joshua made a covenant with the people that day,
A covenant was made. Go on.
and set them a statute and an ordinance in Shechem.
Shechem, yeah.
Yeah, Shechem. Verse 26. And Joshua wrote these words in the book of the law of the Most High, which is what I'm holding in my hand. Book of law of the Most High. And took a great stone and set it up there under an oak that was by the sanctuary of Yahweh.
So what the ancients used to do is set a stone or a landmark as a witness to a covenant. So there's a place in Israel called Galiad or Galil. That also was set as a monument or a witness to a covenant between Laban and which one?
Laban and
Jacob, yeah. So Jacob and Laban, they had a covenant, and they put stones there. So Ga, it means to lift up, and Eve is to witness. So it's a lifted up witness. Yeah. Have you got Sirach 17? 10? 10 to 11? Yeah.
Sirach 17, verse 10. And the elect shall praise his holy name. Besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage. He made an everlasting covenant with them and showed them his judgments. Their eyes saw the majesty of his glory, and their ears heard his glorious voice.
Yeah.
I'll read that again. Sirach 17 and 10. And the elect shall praise his holy name.
The elect. So who are the elect? The elect are the 1/3. The elect actually are the called out from the 1/3. Actually. Go on. Yeah.
Besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage.
So the elect of Israel were given knowledge. So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, good understanding of all those that do his commandments, right? So it's linked to commandments, right? It's also showing you that 1/3 of Israel is gonna maintain the covenant. Was that 10 and 11? All right. Yeah, you're up. 26.
I got 26.
Read already.
I got it.
17 to 19.
Deuteronomy 26. Oh, verse 17. Yeah, this is right. Remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way when ye were come forth out of Egypt. Oh, slack it. 17. Deuteronomy 26 and 17. Thou wast about Yahweh this day to be thy power.
So when you are vowed, what you do, you make a vow. It's just a vow in the past tense. Go on.
Thou wast about Yahweh this day to be thy power.
You made a vow this day that Yahweh is going to be your power.
And to walk in his ways.
To follow his law, statutes, and commandments.
And to keep his statutes and his commandments.
And his commandments.
And his judgments.
And his, because he has judgments as well.
And to hearken unto his voice. Yeah. And
listen to what he tells you.
Verse 18. And Yahweh has about thee this day to be his peculiar people.
So Yahweh made a similar, not similar vow, but he also made a vow, or a corresponding vow. Go on.
As he has promised thee, and that thou shouldest keep all his commandments.
Right. So if we keep his commandments, we're going to be a special people. When we're his special people, we're going to get the blessing. When we get the blessing, the other nations that have not cursed us will also be blessed. But if they cursed us, which every single nation did, they're going to get their recompense.
Verse 19, and to make thee high above all nations
This is what the scriptures
which
are saying.
he has made.
This is what the scriptures are saying. Right?
In praise, and in name, and in honor, that thou mayest be an holy people unto Yahweh thy power, as he has spoken.
Right. No, that's
Deuteronomy 26. You want 20?
6:24.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6 and verse 24. And it reads, and Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes.
So that's a commandment. Yahweh commanded Israel, because we're dealing with black history. So the so-called black people, but we have to extend it also to the indigenous aborigines, to the North Americans, to the Latinos, to the West Africans, more or less, but there's some tears in between, but more or less from Senegambia to Angola. Right? All those people, I'm saying Negro or black, because it's black history.
And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes.
It's a commandment.
To fear Yahweh our power.
Because that's the beginning of wisdom.
For our good always.
For our good, it's for your good, fam. It's for your good, it's not for your bad. It's for your good. Go on,
It says that we're to do this for our good, but this is Malachi 3 and 14. Ye have said, it is vain to serve the Most High, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance, and that we have walked mournfully before Yahweh of hosts? And that's the mindset of our people. Yeah. Even though we've been given laws to exalt us, yeah, we don't see the benefit in it. And we choose not to see the benefit. That's because we love to be wicked.
But that's our history. So when we identify the repercussions of disobedience, you can literally pinpoint who these people are. That's our history. That's why I'm trying to reflect our people too.
No. And I take it from the top of 24. Deuteronomy chapter 6, 24. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh our power, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is at this day. verse 25, and it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments.
So the whole term righteous or being
We're not going to
righteous,
ask to take a picture.
My lad,
that's very, very disrespectful, you know.
our statue is a commandment. Destroy
Destroy
the statue, destroy the
What says
commandment.
we're made a spectacle.
Yeah. We made a
Yeah. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahweh our power, as he has commanded us.
Right, so the point being that the term righteous or righteousness is linked to obedience to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai and keeping his commandments. So if you're not keeping his commandments, i.e. I'm faith-based and the law is done away with, you cannot be righteous. It's an oxymoron, right?
This is the book of Hosea, chapter 1 and verse 2. It says,
Right, so all this, it's coming to the crucial bit now, because I'm dealing with history, but in order to get the history, you have to identify the group that the history applies to. And because we're destroyed people, it takes quite a long time to establish that. But hopefully, it's been established. So we know now, when we talk about black, and I'm adding the Latin Americans, the indigenous Aborigines, the Native Americans, the West Coast Africans for the most part, that group, there's others as well scattered all over, but I'm dealing with that group. Go on.
Hosea chapter 1 and verse 2, it says, the beginning of the word of Yahweh by Hosea.
So Hosea actually is the name that Joshua had before Moses changed it. So that Hosea actually means power shine, actually means savior or salvation. Go on.
And Yahweh said unto Hosea, go, take upon thee a wife of whoredoms and children of whoredoms.
Right, do you know why? Because the saying in the Caribbean, if you don't hear, you feel, right? So in Israel, we're not hearing, and they were being whores because we're married to the Most High. So he told the prophet now for him to feel the same way that Yahweh feels, because we've already identified through the scriptures, he's jealous. He's a jealous power. Go on now.
It says, for the land hath committed great whoredom, departing from Yahweh.
Go on.
So he went and took Gomer, the daughter of Diblam, which conceived,
And then that name Diblam, something about that name, Diblam.
and bare him a son. And Yahweh said unto him,
So just picture that. A prophet was commanded to marry a whore and have children with her. Go on.
and Yahweh said unto him, call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu,
Yehu.
and will cause to seize the kingdom of the house of Israel.
That's right.
And
But basically, what the Most High is doing here, each one of these children is a judgment upon the northern kingdom. That's why he told
Yes, it is.
Put down your brother. Put down your brother.
and it shall come to pass at that
Put down
day
your brother.
that I will break the bow of
No, go back to the G.
and
Never put down your brother.
And Yahweh said unto him, call his name Jezreel, for yet a little while, and I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu.
Right. So let me show you something. This is a seal, right? This is a seal that I drew, and if you look, that's your one. I'm going with this one.
No, go.
Because I'm facing this one.
Do your thing, do your thing.
Right. So if you look here, where is it? Malak Yaha'a. That's actually the same Jehu or Yehu that he's referring to. This is the evidence. It's empirically proven through the seals and the clay tablets.
Haile Selassie have the same seal.
Hold on.
It says, and yet of Jehu, and will cause to seize, the kingdom of the house of Israel. And it shall come to pass at that day that I will break the bow of Israel in the valley of Jezreel.
So the bow of Israel is like saying that the horn of Israel or the strength of Israel.
And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and the power said unto him, call her name Lorama.
Yes. So that would be a Rawakama. So that's no mercy, I believe. Where is it? One. 6, 1, 6. Go to 1, 6. Yeah, no mercy. Yeah. He didn't bow.
For I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away.
Right, so what this is establishing, right, is how the northern tribes got separated from the southern tribes, because we're dealing with history, black history.
But I will have mercy upon the house of Judah.
Right, so the house of Israel was likened unto La Roama, which is no mercy, but the house of Judah, which is the southern kingdom, would be Khan Rawama. Yes, mercy.
It says, but I will have mercy upon the house of Judah,
Right.
and will save them by Yahweh their power, and will not save them by bow, nor by sword,
Not by
nor
strength,
by battle,
nor by arms, nor
by
by war,
horses,
nor by horses,
nor by horsemen.
nor by horsemen.
Now, when she had weaned Lo Ramah,
No mercy.
she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Most High, call his name Lo Ami.
So Lo Ami means no nation. Yeah, no nation.
Could you break down for the sister? Because some of the tenants don't know W. Just to me.
Oh, so who told you that there is no W?
I went online.
You went online. So where's the source? Because I can find so many different things online. You have to get the source.
We can.
Just really explain it.
We can. Enough time for each one of us.
Yeah, so basically, this symbol here,
Sis,
this symbol here, this one here that looks a bit like a Y, that symbol there, that's a Y. It's called a Wawa, it's a template. So when you say W, W is a Roman alphabet letter. This is Paleo-Hebrew.
so it's giving you the sound. So what?
I typed in Yahweh and Yahabashai and that's what came up here.
Yeah, but that's an algorithm. That's not even source information. I read the paleo. I just
Time for each one of us.
show the camera an ancient seal that was found somewhere in the Middle East or the Levant, and it's got Y in it. So if somebody tells you there's not a W, and you can't, it's like taking information from somebody that you've never seen, you've never spoken to, and you cannot prove. That doesn't make sense.
Each place, each one of us.
That sort of Y letter gives you the what sound.
Yeah, it's called a Wawa, it's a template. Yeah, that's why I said
Yeah,
W
yeah.
is
So
an
it
English
wouldn't be
name.
called W, but
the sound is what?
gives you the W sound.
There's no actual.
It would have said W, but it needed the what. The W gives you the what sound. And that's what it is.
Shalom, Daniel, Shalom to Don Israel. Shalom.
Yeah, yes, shalom, shalom.
This is verse 7. Verse 7 of Hosea 1. It says, but I will have mercy upon the house of Judah, and I will save them by Yahweh their power,
That's right.
and will not save them by bow nor by sword.
Right, so the reason why you're not going to be saved by your bow, your sword, your horse, your chariot, your army. It's because we are commanded to rely on Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushua, not our own strength, because that puffs us up. So when we rely on Yahweh, which we did in the wilderness at some point, He would fight for us. That's how we can be.
It says, nor by sword, nor by battle, by horses, nor by horsemen. It says, now when she beat Lo-Ruhamah, she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Most High, call his name Lo-Ami,
No nation,
for ye are not my
not my people.
people,
There you go.
and I will not be your power.
There you go.
Yahweh. No mercy, no nation.
Yes, there you go.
It says, yet the number of the children of Israel
So after all of that, yet the number of the children of Israel, the number of the black, Hispanic, Native Indians, West Coast Africa for the most part,
shall be sand of the sea, which cannot be measured.
you
nor
can't even
numbered.
measure it. You can't even number it. Go on.
In the ankle, you can't measure it.
And they say minority.
Well,
Now you see it again.
And yea, like I said, verse 10, yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people,
So there's a place, North America, South America, the Caribbean island, Great Britain, France, Germany, Russia, wherever the hell we are, go on.
in that place where it said unto them, ye are not my people,
Because when you call somebody black, they're actually not being called a people, they're being called a crayon color. Durante.
there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power.
We brought that scripture out where the Most High said that we are His son, even His firstborn. That was brought out earlier.
This is Hosea chapter 3 and verse 4.
Yeah.
Reads, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king.
Now listen to this. So a king in the scriptures, because you have to remember that word king is a European word, right? But the concept of a king is a ruler, is a leader, is somebody that is, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Is a judge as well. Why? Because the first courts were set up by the king under his auspices, right? Because he is the judge as well. That was the one.
It says, for the children of Israel shall abide many days without a king,
Without all the things I mentioned as well,
and without a prince,
without a prince, who should be the heir to the king,
and without a sacrifice.
without a sacrifice. So this is prophetic because since Jerusalem has been the desolation, destruction of Jerusalem, we cannot sacrifice because we wanted to sacrifice there and nowhere else. Go on.
And without an image, and without an ephod, and without a teraphim.
Right, so our elders were the ones that brought out the knowledge of the ephod. Our elders did that.
That's why I want to
Rule
know.
and teach well. But other than that, we didn't have ephods, we didn't have the knowledge of it. We weren't given, well, we was doing it on the left side, but not on the righteous side. Go on now.
It says, afterward,
about photograph.
No, it's a repute. Yeah. No, you're not, for edification.
it says, afterward shall the children of Israel return and seek Yahweh their power, and David their king.
Which is what you're seeing now. And always remember, when you hear the word David, it's referring to Malak Dawada. Also referring to the word beloved, because Dawada means keter. It means beloved. So we know in this instance it's not talking about
Christ.
It's talking about beloved. God. Or Malak Dawada.
And shall fear Yahweh and his
You're right when you said that as well.
and shall fear Yahweh and his goodness in the latter days.
Yes. Yep.
This is Hosea chapter 4 and verse 16. Hosea 4 and 16, it says, for Israel, For Israel slideth back as a backsliding heifer. Now the Lord Yahweh will feed them as a lamb in a large place. Ephraim is joined to idols.
So listen to this. Because what it is, it's explaining the history of North, South, Central America. It's explaining it. Go on.
It says Ephraim is joined to idols.
Right.
Let him alone.
Right. So before that, it was prophesied through his prophet Hawashai or Hosea that you're going to marry a woman of disrepute. You're going to have certain children. One of them, he said, no mercy. One of them, he said, no, not my people or no nation. Right? Then this precept now says that yeah, go on.
Ephraim is joined unto idols.
So Ephraim, it's just like Judah or it's just like Jerusalem. It signifies the chief tribe. It also signifies the whole of Israel or the northern kingdom, right? So they don't. So how to put it? It's like a synonym. So you could say northern kingdom. You could say the 10 tribes. You could even say Samaria. All of it means the 10 tribes of Israel. Go on.
Ephraim is joined to idols, let him alone.
No, that's it. Let him alone. So from that point, he was cast aside. So he was seen, him and his whole 10 tribes were seen as Goliath. Right? So now, could you bring out the next one?
Second Esdras 13.
Because this is history. Yes. Second Esdras 13, 39 to 48.
39. It says, and where's thou sawest that he gave...
Second Esdras chapter 13, verse 39 to 48.
Oh, and whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king.
Right, stop. So Hosea, the same Hosea we was referring to, right? They was taken out of their own land. God.
It says, whom Shalmaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
Because they were taken out of northern Israel, captive into Assyria, God.
And he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land.
So that would be, I think, the Euphrates River. They were taken over the Euphrates River.
I think they were the first in the slavery of
Or Judges, one in early Judges. Well, go on.
It says verse 41, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So we're dealing with black history. We're also alluding to Israel's history, right? So what it's showing is that when Ephraim was joined to idols and was cast aside, they went into captivity, which is another identifying marker of Israel. After their captivity, they made an agreement amongst themselves to leave the known world and go a land where no man had gone before. They've done a Star Trek, right? Where no man had gone before.
Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
So it sounds familiar because the same thing happened in the Red Sea, right? So it's showing you the power, the wonder of Yahweh B'Shem Yahshua.
Verse 44, for the Most High showed them signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth.
Right. So if you read the early Jewish encyclopedia, because the recent one, if you read the early one, it has listed within it that Asareth is the American continent. Right.
Well, you know what? Anything got something, then it's proud to do it.
Verse 46, then dwelt they there until the latter time. And
so they remain there until the latter time.
And now when they shall begin to come, I shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sost thou the multitude with peace.
The book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1.
This is Isaiah 11, and I'll start 15. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make them go over dry shod. And there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt. It's going to repeat the that same thing again.
When he's drying up his phrase now.
It's the book of 1 Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 1, and it reads, And it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim.
Right, so that same land of Chittim that he came out of, that's the same land that Barnabas, otherwise known as Yahweh, was from.
Had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes.
So that was the end of the Medo-Persian Empire, and that was the beginning of the Greek, Demonite, Edomite, Sodomite Empire.
That's right.
That he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Verse 6. Verse 6 of Maccabees chapter 1. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth.
So when it says such as were honorable, that's a misnomer, because it is impossible for a Demonite or an Edomite to please Yahweh. So honor is linked, so that would be kabad. Kabad, honor, is linked to righteousness as well. So it's impossible for them to have honor. So that's in the Greek, I don't know what it would have been in the Greek, but it's a synonym. But let's say trustworthy, not even trustworthy, because they're not trustworthy, but they were like steadfast. So they're
Loyal.
Yeah, loyal. Yeah, that's the one. Loyal.
They were loyal to him.
Loyal to the demon.
Yeah, that's it. They were loyal to him. So they were honorable to him, but not to the
I didn't
Most
like
High.
that word honorable there.
But to him they were.
Yeah.
He saw them.
He saw them.
Yeah. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. Verse 7.
Because he was extremely sick before he died. Because apparently he died from syphilis or gonorrhea or something like that. But he was very, very sick. So before he actually died, his kingdom was parted up between his 4 generals.
So, verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
And it's funny because at number 12, he reigned 12 and then he died. Go on.
Verse 8. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. Verse 9. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years.
So now you're talking about, what do you call it when you have a king and then he has children that king? It will come to me. But basically, it wasn't just the kings that were under Alexander. It was also sons and sons and sons and sons of those kings. And they usually bear the same names as well.
Yeah. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
So evil, because the earth is given over unto the hands of the wicked. So evil, you could transpose the word evil with the word wicked, right? So it increased.
Yeah. Verse 10. Yeah, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked fruit, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
Right, so the reason why I jumped here is because the other precept was alluding to the North American, South and Central American history. And then there's a full stop there. And now we're going to South, or the Kingdom of Judah, or Benjamin, Judah, and Levi, or Lawiah. We're going into their history now.
Yeah. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king,
See, they had the same name.
who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So this is the black history that's not being taught. Because we don't know these things. God.
Verse 11, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen
Right.
that are round about us.
Right. So basically, what this is now showing is that under the Greek captivity, they were wicked Israelite men that chose to make a covenant, or chose to make an agreement, or chose to make a 501c3 agreement with the Demonites.
For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Yeah,
Yes.
because if you go against them, you're going to have sorrows. They're going to make things difficult.
Verse 12 of 1 Maccabees chapter 1. So this device pleased them well. Verse 13. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen.
Right, so I'm going to paraphrase something now. Yahweh does not give license to sin. Right, so I need to pull it out. Well, basically, they receive license or permission to do things that contradict the law, statutes, and commandments.
Right. Verse 14. Whereupon they built a place of exercise
A
at
gymnasium.
Jerusalem,
They built a gym where they were training buck naked. Go on now.
according to the customs of the heathen. Verse 15. And made themselves
So
uncircumcised.
this is the point. So this is when the southern kingdom, for the most part, made themselves uncircumcised. So in this instance, because some of this was written in Greek, right? Well, actually, the Septuagint, which was written by Hebrew Israelites, was written in Greek. So that would have been in the Septuagint. So it would have been in Greek.
It is, yeah.
Right. So therefore, that word there would have been Gentile. So that's where they made themselves Gentile.
Verse 15 of 1 Maccabees chapter 1. And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen.
So when you join yourself to the heathen, you place yourself outside of the nation. So now you're listed as a Hawaiian, or you're listed as a Gentile. But these are Greek-speaking Jews.
And were sold to do mischief.
Right. So that was the start of the southern kingdom downfall. So now we're going to get to the culmination of that. Because what we're doing is we're bringing out a short black history lesson. Go on.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 21, and verse
20 to 20.
and it reads, and when ye shall see Jerusalem,
So this is red letters. So this is Yahushua HaMashiach prophesying in the flesh. Go on.
it says, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
So he, Yahushua HaMashiach, was walking circa around 30 AD. Because they said he died around 30. So let's say 30 AD, around that time. The destruction of Jerusalem was 70 AD. So this was a prophecy. Bring it out.
And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
Vespasian, Titus and Vespasian.
then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
So desolation is always linked to the destruction of the temple.
Then let them which are in Judea,
So who was in Judea? Benjamin, Levi, Judah, and some of the remnants, because there were remnants as well. Yes. Go on now.
which are in Judea, flee to the mountains.
Flee to the, what mountains were they fleeing to? The Atlas mountain, the Ethiopian mountain, the Kilimanjaro mountain, predominantly in Africa.
And let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
So if you're in Jerusalem, get the hell out of Dodge. If you're out of Jerusalem, get the hell out of Dodge.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereunto.
There you go.
For these be the days of vengeance.
The days of vengeance. So what is vengeance? Vengeance is payback. I knew you from way back. Meaning, there you go. You do me something, so you do one of mine, I had a right for that. Yahweh is a man of war. So he will take so much until he can't take it no more. Then you get your recompense.
So for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child.
Woe, son, destruction.
Woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people.
Upon this people, meaning Yahshua.
And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
They're going to fall by the edge of the sword. So the sword is a weapon of destruction. So a synonym of a sword is any weapon of destruction, i.e. viral, chemical, nuclear,
Internal destruction.
right?
Temple of
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
Led away captive into all nations. So the reason why I brought this up, twofold. One, it's Yahweh Shai Mashiach's word, and two, it's showing that the southern kingdom was led away captive into all nations. So you had the northern kingdom being led away captive and going to the new world, and now you have the southern kingdom led away captive into all nations. So therefore, the history of black people is slavery. And we are known as, colloquially, the children of slaves.
And the servant
You know what? You took the word. That's what he said. Jeremiah 2:14. We can't. So like one thing about us, it's a repetitive theme. We can't escape slavery. It's repetitive on Israel because it's a curse of the Lord.
even in Matthew 1, where it says,
True, my lord. True, my lord. We're interrupting us. Bless you, my lord.
Matthew 1 and 17, so all the generations from Abraham to David are 40 generations. And from David until the carrying away into Babylon are 40 generations. And from the carrying away into Babylon until Mashiach are 40 generations. And like, they're captivity, they're carried away.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and verse 14. And it reads, is Israel a servant? Is he a homeborn slave?
So that's a rhetorical question. But it is a question that any right-thinking person should ask.
Why is he spoiled?
So that's a rhetorical question because the answer is because we're disobedient and we refuse to honor our ancestors' covenant with Yahweh Bashem. So it's our fault.
I repent daily, you know. I'm not perfect, I'm genius my fruit, I repent. I should do much better. Respect my neighbors as myself. And I will. I need food, then I confess.
Bring out.
You want to know? Ezekiel 13 verse 9.
37.
It's like the 37 verse 9. Then said he unto me, prophesy unto the wind,
Prophesy unto the wind.
prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind,
Say to the wind.
thus saith Yahweh power, come from the four winds, O
Four
breath,
corners of the earth.
and breathe upon these slain, that they may live.
Right, so who are the slaves? We've already identified. Yasha'Allah is one of the identified markers.
It says, verse 10, so I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived.
Right, the breath, the word came into them, and they became a living soul.
And stood upon their feet, and an exceeding great army.
Right, one third.
Then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel.
The bones are the whole house of Israel. Rib of flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone.
Behold, they say, our bones are dried, and our hope is lost.
It is dry, it is lost, because without the oil, the anointing oil, or the word, you're going brittle. You're going to be brittle.
We are cut off for our parts. Therefore prophesy and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, O my people, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel.
Right. 15 to 22.
Verse 15, but the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel,
Right,
his companions.
so the reason why we're going there is because we're doing a short history lesson, black history lesson. Well, it's more than that, but let's say black history lesson. So we've listed one group of the family leaving the ends and going to the Americas. Then we listed another group of the family being dispersed to all nations, right? So now you've got one group over there and one group everywhere else.
Then take another stick and write upon it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim,
That's the northern tribes that are in the Americas, gone.
and for all the house of Israel his companions,
Gone.
and join them one to another into one stick.
So they've been brought together as one, gone.
They shall become one in my hand.
They're going to be one people again, gone.
When the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these?
Because it was a confusing parable. Go on, bring it up.
Say unto them, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim,
10 tribes.
and the tribes of his fellow, of Israel his fellows, Slakia, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in my hand.
They're going to be one. So now united. So that's Yasha'Allah, Akkad. Yasha'Allah, united. Go on.
And the sticks run down righteous shall be in thine hand before thine eyes, and say unto them, thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen,
Among the heathen,
whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them to their own land,
Jerusalem, Israel,
and I will make them one nation in the land
One
of the
nation.
mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king to them all, and they shall be no more two nations,
no more dispersed, no more two nations, no more us and them. Go on.
neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all.
Right?
Stick is the nation.
Did you go 50?
Well, the nation. Voilà.
The book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 12.
Oh, amazing.
22.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 22 and verse 12. And it reads, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be.
Because we're dealing with history, so now we're wrapping up the history lesson. So the history lesson is, why is Israel a homeborn slave? Why did Tyree Nichols get beat to death by his own Jakes, right? Why is our people at the bottom of every index? Why can I show you the abortion rate which supersedes all other forms of money? Why? This is why.
Wait.
Verse 13 of Revelation 22. I am Alpha and Omega.
So Alpha, no,
I am Alpha and Omega,
which is Greek for God,
the beginning and the end.
which alludes to Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh is the beginning, is the ancient of days. He has no beginning. So once you put the word beginning, that can't be Yahweh. But he's before beginning, because he is.
And the first and the last.
The first and the last, because Yahweh Shai is the first of creation. And I wouldn't even say last, he's the first and the first, because there's no last here.
Verse 14.
That encompasses everything.
Yeah, I know, right? He's the first. Let's say first.
Verse 14 of Revelation 22. Blessed are they that do his commandments.
That's the history lesson. Blessed are they
That
that
do his commandments.
and by them doing the commandments, all the other nations will be blessed if they have not cursed us. There's a stipulation to them.
That they may have right to the tree
Tree
of
of
life.
life.
And may enter in through the gates into the city.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. So Inshallah is a short history, black history lesson, right? Purposely short because they chose to give us the shortest month in the year to have a history month, right? It's not even 30 days in February, right? So I purposely did it short, but with the help of the Akil and the spirit of power, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Yasha Allah was edified, yeah?
Keep up the work.
That's right. That's right.
And we people need to wake up.
That's right, brother.
Yeah? Not the problem is a Ras, but it's the same.
That's right. But
Yeah?
brothers are us as well.
Yeah. So, the old brothers.
We are all brothers. That's right. That's right. Shalom.
These are the ones that are sleeping.
That's right.
Keep up.
Shalom.
Yes.
Shalom. Shalom. So yeah, so let me just go a quick one. So we get to Proverbs. So in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 9, and it reads, A man's heart
Deviseth his way, but the Lord Yahweh directeth his steps.
And I jump to Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 1. The preparation
Of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord Yahweh.
And then I'll jump to Proverbs 21 and 1 and 2.
The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord Yahweh. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
Verse 2.
Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord Yahweh pondereth the heart.
And then I'll finish it off with Proverbs chapter 20 and verse 24, and it reads,
Man's goings are of the Lord Yahweh. How can a man then understand his own way?
and then I'm going to read the precept of my Ak Daniela. Shalom Wahab Daniela.
Shalom, Wahab,
Right.
Daniela.
So this is the book of Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 21,
Found it.
and it reads,
There are many devices in a man's heart.
Right.
Nevertheless, the counsel of the Lord Yahweh, that shall stand.
yeah, I know. This is the way I do it.
You said Yahweh.
Yeah.
That's how he said it.
Hebrews 10:31 It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. This is Psalms chapter 50, verse 22. Now consider this, ye that forget the Most High, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none
to deliver.
This is the book of Proverbs. There's a few like that as well. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 3. It says, the eyes of Yahweh are in every place, beholding the evil and the good. And this is the book of Sirach, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 23 and verse 19. And it reads, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of Yahweh are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men and considering the most secret parts. And this is Sirach, Ecclesiasticus chapter 39 and verse 19. And it reads, the works of all flesh are before him, and nothing can be hid from his eyes.
And nothing can be hid from his eyes.
That needs to be understood, Israel, because what it is like when you try to analyze or you try to explain away what the Bible says. It's almost like you're in a dream state. Bearing in mind, Yahweh sees everything and he knows everything. So you don't have to account to me. You don't have to account to the brothers that push in the word, but you do have to account to Yahweh Basham. Believe.
And this is Proverbs.
Basically, there's no way of going around it.
No.
You can't go around it. You can't find a way out. He knows your faults.
Where you're in a trick battle.
He knows the hairs in your head.
I know, he actually does.
Yeah, he knows the hairs in your head.
With the few that I got left.
And this
Once
is,
it's still there.
I know, right?
He
And
knows
this
how
is-
much is missing.
Yeah.
Are you from here or are you from Birmingham?
Me?
No, the only.
Oh,
That's half, yeah, yeah,
right
that's half.
here.
I'm a dog guy. I'm a dog guy.
Yes. Music to my ears.
Yes.
Don't worry, it's coming. Slowly but surely and precisely.
It's like this way, the sheep head.
That's true. And with that, I'm going to say, I'm going to go straight now. Ain't it? Charming. I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 7. And it reads, wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. And I'm going to jump straight to Psalms 111 and verse
And we
10.
say that because our brother Yerazakar, our beloved brother Yerazakar, used to say that. So it's
It's a
it's in
comprehension.
our head.
Yeah.
Comprehension.
Because of the French. And this is Psalms 111 and verse 10. And it reads, the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth.
I will love you.
There you have it. And as you know by now, I'm going to go. And as you know by now, I'm going to go to the conclusion of the whole matter. The conclusion of this lesson we just had, and the lessons prior, and the ones to come.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's what I'm sure.
You just come and read it.
I know, right?
Did it? Yeah.
Just come to the conclusion of my argument, man.
Excuse me, gentlemen. This is my line.
I know, right?
Well, it's our line. Anyway, yeah, it's like, yeah. So this is the conclusion of the whole matter. This is, at the end of the day, what you should be doing, you know, throughout. And this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. And it reads, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments. For this is the whole duty of man, every Israelite man, woman, and child. Verse 14, for Yahweh shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. As you know by now, as I always say. And as you know by now, that your brothers may not know what you're doing in secret, but as the brother brought out earlier, Yahweh's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all in a past.
There's no darkness in the Most High.
That's right. So your brothers might not know, you might be fooling your brothers, but you're not fooling Yahweh, Bahad, Jim Yahushai.
You might be fooling yourself.
Oh, that too. But not Yahweh, Bahad, Jim Yahushai. And you will be recompensed, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
That is where we're going to close out.
Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Wadash.
And Kum Yasharala means rise, Israel. And with that, we out.
Abadla Baba.
Shalom.
Shalom to everyone.
Shalom to everybody.
Shalom Israel. Shalom.
Oh, yeah.